I began dating a guy who was into polyamory and into BDSM.
When someone knows what they're doing.
I wish I knew what he was doing.
Oh, okay. That's very opposite of good. That's very bad.
I wish he knew what he was doing. Damn.
We are here with stand-up comedian Tina Friml. So happy to have you on.
Oh my God, this is like actually amazing.
Yeah, I'm glad you're pumped.
This is because I used to listen to this podcast for years.
Oh, thanks,
Tina.
Oh my God. I know that when you asked me at the stand, I had a moment like I basically got like emotional.
Oh, that's an honor.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, and the conversation we had after that, we'll get into it, during this interview, was so interesting. Like we have a lot in common with our like the healing of the healing that can come with like exploring kink and just being sexually adventurous is like,
oh my God.
It's the best it's like such a potent healer. So let's get into it. Let's start. So before we started on the mics, I was telling you about somebody that comes to my group therapy with cerebral palsy, which you have cerebral palsy.
Yeah.
And to my understanding, it shows up differently in everybody.
Yeah.
So some people can walk, some people can't. Some people have motor control, some people don't. Like, so what has your experience been with that?
Right. Yeah, it's all about like a spectrum, except not. It's just more chaotic than that. It's all over the board.
Yeah.
Like it can really affect you in almost random ways.
Okay.
For me, like it affects obviously speech.
Yeah.
Mostly, but also my like fine motor skills and like a little bit walking, but like I don't use any kind of mobility aid. I don't really need any like elevators or like, it's not so much a balance thing.
Yes, because you can get around.
Yeah, although I say that, but then I'll like eat shit on the pavement. So,
Which we're all susceptible
I mean,
to.
that might just be a Tina thing.
I saw a woman this morning actually on her phone, so engrossed in what she was looking at, and she ran right into a pole.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, oh man, I can't.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, I can't believe it. I don't see that more often, honestly.
But I've been living in New York for 5 years now, and now I just get back up.
Yeah,
Like I'm no longer phased by like
Eating shit.
eating shit in front of like 10 people and like no. It literally happened yesterday. Like I got tacos and like had my phone and it
Just hate shit.
and like, oh God,
Now, does anyone help you when you fall?
never.
Oh, what? I was wondering if it was. I was like, no one helps. I was wondering if they would help you. Okay,
The one time in Midtown, I
New Yorkers, what the fuck?
but in Brooklyn, no. They
Brooklyn.
just-
Oh, interesting.
Wow.
Well,
Wow.
If I see a woman like blocks away with a giant stroller trying to get into a venue, I will run the door.
Yeah.
I'm like, we gotta fucking help each other. I'm actually surprised by that because I've seen New Yorkers come in to help strangers in various kerfuffles.
Yes. Well, in Midtown, like I was so shocked it started to cry, and then she was like, okay, but like it just said like in Brooklyn now it's just kind of like, oh God, not again, all this shit again.
Jesus
and I just like pop back up and I'm like, oh, like
Guys,
I'm like,
I'm fine.
don't look at me, don't think, look the other way. That didn't just, it was like a cat, you know, a cat will like fall off a thing and be like that. Then you did not just see that.
Brush it off, baby.
Yeah, walk
See
away,
what?
walk away.
So how was it growing up? Like what, like, when you grow up with cerebral palsy, like, do you know you're different? Are you told you're different through an experience that's mirrored? Or do your parents talk to you? Like how was that for you?
Yeah, I never got sat down and told like, hey, you have this thing. It's like the first time I ever found out that I was different, because when I talk, I sound normal to myself.
Right.
Like it's harder for me to talk, but like in terms of hearing it like rattling in my skull,
Yeah.
I sound fine. Like, I sound like you guys.
Yeah.
So I did not know that it was, like, different at all of a sudden. But then one time I was about 4 or 5, and my whole family, my mom and dad and my older brother were in the car, and just quiet. And then my older brother said, "Hey guys, why does Tina sound weird?" And there was a long pause. And I was like, what? It was a long pause. And my mom and dad would just said, "We're not going to talk about this right now."
Oh.
And that was it. Like,
That was it.
End of conversation. And, like, that's how I learned.
Huh.
Now, I say that as just a thing that happened, but ultimately, I actually owe my mom and dad, like, an incredible upbringing of, like, they, except for things here and there, they never, like, treated me with extra, like, kid gloves.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
they never, they just shoved me in with the other kids and, like, go play soccer and tag and, like, just get out there. And, like, I owe it to that mentality of, like, no, just do it.
Yeah,
Just
yeah. Don't even
get
think.
out there, just do it. I had, like, therapy and physical therapy and stuff like that, but it was, kind of like bit by bit learning through other people and how other people reacted to me that, like, oh shit, I'm different.
Yeah.
Like, damn. Like, other kids, like, hey, why do you talk like that? Why was, you know, and I just kind of took that cue.
So you started getting. So you were mirrored by your parents as if you were just you were just like your brothers, except you were a girl. That was it. But then when you got into school, and are there any that stick out to you that shaped you, or that that in a good or a bad way?
Yeah, well, like, I went to an amazing private elementary school called the Bridge School, which was, like, admittedly very, very hippie. Very,
Oh, that's
like,
cool,
barn.
though.
It was in a refurbished barn, like a cow
that's
barn.
cool.
Yes.
Where was this?
Millbury, Vermont.
Oh, I was gonna say, it sounds like
Yeah.
Vermont.
Yo,
Oh, yeah,
Vermont's the
Vermont.
best. Did you grow up in Vermont?
I did.
Oh.
Yeah. I went to college there. Yeah.
I
yeah.
really love Vermont.
I came straight here from, like, straight to New York
Those
from
are two
Vermont.
opposite environments.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Like,
Wow.
I mean, either one or the other. Like, I cannot imagine living anywhere other than New York or Vermont.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It's weird. It's a thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love either extreme. But I went to, like, this private school, and I was so fortunate. There was never, like, bullying at that particular school. That came later. I mean,
Yeah. Later,
that
like in
came
your adult life?
Well, more like high school. Like, I went to one school, public school, for, like, a year and got bullied out of the school.
Fuck.
Like, I literally got driven out of the
Jesus
school.
Christ.
That's so crazy to me because in, like, you know, these are it's like pretty modern times, and I feel like in my school, well, there was a little person, not the same thing, but she was like the queen of the school.
Yeah.
She was
Really?
bullying us.
That's fucking great.
Yeah.
Because we elevated her to, like, queen status, which was
She got cocky.
So it's like
Nice.
kind of like
Right.
the treating someone, you know, who is different, like
Reverse
in the
bullying.
reverse way.
Yeah.
You know, almost like coddling them or handling them with kid gloves, and then she wreaked havoc on the entire school.
Good for her, bitch.
Honestly, well, and that's the thing. Oddly enough, like the first school that I went to, I got bullied out, and then I transferred to a school just in the next district, like 15 minutes away, and completely different story.
Really?
Completely.
What was that story?
Well, that they love me.
That was the hippie, is that the hippie school or no? This is
No,
different.
that was just another public school, but I think that was, like, the first school was in a more rural area where,
Yeah.
like, I my mom would tell me this just to make me feel better, that, like, a lot of from kids and a lot of kids that I mean, the culture was do not be different in any capacity. They all wore jeans and like gray hoodies. It was clones.
It's so funny with high school and like kids because like it's herd mentality, right? So I feel like the first kid to react to somebody who's different, I feel like everybody just follows suit in a way of like, and they could either go, "Hey, you're the shit. You're different. I love that. That's fucking dope." Or they go, "The fuck's your problem?" And then everybody follows suit. So it's like you have you had two opposite experiences 15 minutes away. That's so interesting.
Exactly. I mean, in hindsight, it's clear that the friend group that bullied me the most, they were just doing it to make their friends laugh. Like they were doing it for that status, for that, you know. And actually, it was weird. Like one boy in particular who would bully me, but then messaged me on Facebook at the time, asking me out. So it was like that. I was getting all these like weird. I mean that was the beginning of a lifetime so far of getting mixed signals of like, am I disabled or am I pretty?
Yeah.
I mean, but you can just be both.
Yeah.
How? Like, it was like at the time it's like,
right.
No, that's not a thing.
Those are two mutually exclusive things.
Yeah, because those are not opposites.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in theory, yeah, you're right. They're not. And yeah, I would be told like, "Oh wow, you're actually like really pretty. Like,
cool.
You are like, oh, you don't look like you should be disabled."
Okay.
Wow, guys, really killing it with the communicating and the connecting.
Wow.
And the lifting people up.
Well, I mean, and that was something that like that really shaped my first relationship to dating, sex, and being wanted and being sexy. To that it was like having a kid on the school bus say to me in front of all his friends, like, "I bet you've never been kissed."
Oh God.
Like, and he was right. I haven't.
Yeah, how old were all these kids? How old? That guy was like, fucking making out with chicks underneath the blue. It's always the fucking dipshit kid that's fucking got a gut and doesn't do any sports. That's like, I bet no one fingers you.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Okay, Todd.
Exactly. It was just like the kid down the street.
Yeah,
Like who was he? But with all just the words and like, you know, that was kind of like, oh shit, like. I mean, it got ingrained. Like, I guess dating, sex, being desired, that's not for me.
Right.
Yeah.
When it sets the stage so early that is something that elevates some women above other women. Like, I feel like we set that stage so early, and men know that, and or boys know that, and they weaponize it against us.
Exactly. Yeah, it was always boys.
Yeah.
It was none of this ever came from women.
Oh, that makes me happy. Because sometimes women can be cold.
Yeah. No, seriously.
Yeah. I was bullied by women in high school, and that
really,
So, but it also is different when it's guys doing it because it's like sexual bullying.
Yeah.
It's like your femininity and your attractiveness and your appeal is what they're dangling, which, I mean, that never stops. I mean, we're going to go to our grave being sexually bullied by men.
Yeah.
A guy, somebody.
Right.
But yeah, those are two different deep cuts.
Well, yeah, and like it hurts because at that age it's like coming straight from the source. It's coming from boys.
Yeah.
You know? And like, oh shit, like, well, this is not girls saying this. This is not, you can't pin it like, oh, they're just jealous.
Right,
like,
right.
Oh, this is like, no, I'm being told how I appeal to men.
Right.
Well, I mean, I think there's like probably power though in the way that your parents raised you, that you're not different, and so you're walking and people look at you and they're like, well, you seem like you're different, but you're not acting like you're different. And there's a lot of power in that, and men don't like when women hold power, as you know, for many things that you do in your life, including stand-up comedy.
Oh yeah, no, When you know what, that's the thing. Seeing a powerful, confident woman person with this low hanging fruit of like, oh well, they have a disability.
Right.
Let me knock them down a peg.
Yeah.
Let me just for whatever reason, I think
to make them feel bigger in quotes.
Yeah, just exactly, or just something within them, like. I mean, my theory, is that people that still comment or say things to me in person, it's. My theory is that they're grappling with well, I'm not confident and I'm able.
Girl, you just nailed it.
And so what the hell is wrong with me?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
That's very.
That is so what's happening.
Yeah.
Because that type of guy, that category of guy that's so insecure, like the male comics I react negatively to Corinne running for mayor. Like that, I'm like, what is this gross? Like you hate yourself, and you're throwing it at us. You're throwing at the women in your life that you deem to be up against odds that you couldn't imagine yourself even standing a chance against.
Yeah. Oh no.
Wow.
100%.
Fascinating.
Everything comes from energy. I'm a big believer in energy not being created or destroyed.
Totally.
Not to get a little bit woo woo, but
I'm really into mediumship. We can talk about that later.
Okay.
You have a sign that says palmistry right behind.
Yeah.
So.
You're in the right place. You're in the right place.
The unicorn chugging this wine. Whenever people come at me, whether that be something so basic like I hate comment or something, or something like my ex hardcore manipulating me. It all comes from I think just. It comes from something. They don't just wake up and decide that.
100%. They have an emptiness in them. And they try to fill it by sex, drugs, dating, making somebody feel smaller, being obsessed with building a shed, they just running from it. That kind of person. It's not just men, but
go build a shed.
Just garden, dude.
Don't talk to me. Just go build a shed.
Yeah. So how was dating when you started dating? How did that go?
I did not start dating until my late 20s.
Okay.
Really just getting out here, basically.
Yeah, New York.
And the apps help. The apps were what got the flow started. I could actually go on dates where before that, I think it was just a confidence thing where I could never connect. And I think I went on 1 or 2 dates in high school. The first date I ever went on, I thought was a date. But it was a friend of mine, an older guy that lived on my road, and he took me to the fair.
Oh, that's a date. What age gap? What kind of age gap we talking?
4 or 5 years.
Okay. When you're younger, that's a lot. Yeah, you're 80.
It was a lot. Exactly. And I was so excited, and we didn't do anything. We didn't make out or kiss or whatever.
No bases.
But I was oh, this is a date, and I went home, floated home, oh my gosh, a date. And then the next day, me and my friend went back to that same fair and saw him with another girl.
Did you say anything?
No,
okay.
I just
it's probably for the best.
Well, maybe it was just 2 dates. Maybe he was just playing the field.
I think it was something like his ex-girlfriend or current,
weird.
I don't know. So I recognize
that's some high school. It was high school.
Yeah. It was early high school.
So dating was pretty sparse when you were in Vermont, but then you came to New York and got those apps.
Came to New York, got apps, and I was struggling to get anything going. I think also just like I got burned in school, and that like there was like one or two guys that like I really, really had hardcore crushes on that like never reciprocated it, and that just like did a number on me.
That'll take real estate up in your brain.
Oh
for
my God,
years,
for
man.
years.
I don't know how to stop that.
Yeah,
Do you have a funny dating profile? Like what do you lead with on your dating profile?
Ooh, I don't actually.
It's not funny?
I really just like, because I never know whether I want to like talk, mention that I'm disabled on there. So I filter it in another way. I just talk how much I love horror movies.
Nice.
Like go into, and I'll like list like, here are the exact things I love to see in a horror movie. 1, decapitation. 2, like, I like
that tactic.
I did do that at one point, like just to like filter out, like if they can handle this, they can handle asking me to repeat myself a couple of times. Like
So funny.
Yeah.
So
I like this approach.
I do too.
I did that, but like that was the thing. I was constantly like, do I mention that I'm disabled? Do I not? Like,
have you ever tried doing that on a profile or no?
Yeah. So I got on dates where I did not mention it at all, and that went terribly. Like, I mean, they just like complete foot in their mouth. It's all that they could talk about, and then
is that you're disabled.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think they were trying to like talk themselves into it.
Right.
But then like I would put it on the profile, but that in itself doesn't seem great either, because like being disabled is like the least interesting thing about me.
Right.
And at the end of the day, like I don't want I have to lead with that in real life all the time anyway.
Yeah.
Can I just not?
And it's just not a defining characteristic of a person. Like it's just
in theory.
Yeah.
But but I mean, I've gotten burned. Like I've gone on great dates and really liked the guy. Thought like, oh, we have something here. And then at the bitter end, he said, "I'm sorry, like you're great, but I can't do this. I can't. Like I've never dated a disabled person before. I'm getting your Uber. Have a good night." Like,
okay.
And just
how do you read that? How do you process that? How does it make you feel?
I mean, nowadays, and I'll be totally real, like having a career where in disability helps. Like being a successful comedian helps.
Oh, dude, and also too, like there's everyone's not like everybody has a podcast, and not quite as many people, but it's a lot more is a stand. There's so many people in stand up, right? So it's like having a unique thing about you that's authentic that you can like run. There's so many comics. You are certainly one of them. That's like, this is like the way you own it on stage is fucking gorgeous.
Oh yeah,
you're so commanding, and the
you.
jokes you make. That's why there's this one girl in my Patreon with cerebral palsy, and I was like, go watch Tina Friml. Like, there's a couple comics that fucking own it, and I love the way like I see you sense anybody who's uncomfortable, and you just go at them in a way that like it's from a comedy standpoint, it's just chef's kiss.
Thank
it's
you.
Perfect.
Yeah, well, and exactly, it's like if that ever happened to me today, that like I go on a date and then at the end of it, he's like, I don't know if I can do this. I mean, to me, it would just be like, did you not do your homework?
Yeah.
Like hello? Usually, like, now it's like I'm bulletproof, because a lot of times if someone says some shit to me, I already have a joke about it.
You have so many comebacks.
Like, yeah. It's like, we'll cover that.
What are your favorite comebacks or like top two?
Oh, man. Well, I mean, people often like think I'm drunk or like accuse me of being drunk or I don't know. Well, it's not so much a comeback. Like I don't even say anything anymore because I'm just bored.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like, you know. Yeah, I made that joke in 2017.
Yeah.
Go on YouTube and look it up. Like,
Right.
Honestly, a great, or not like a comeback, where like putting somebody in their place is just like, you bore me. Bye.
You bore me.
See ya.
Yeah, honestly.
So I would love to get into the conversation that we were having at the stand that I loved.
Yes.
Because I just really related to the healing power of being sexually adventurous. How did it come about? What did you think of it before it was an actual reality in your world, and how did you make it a reality, and how did it go?
Well, you know, a lot of people that are in like the kink world, they talk about like, I've always been kinky. I've always had that little nugget in me. For me, it was never that. But I've always been someone who wants to try everything twice.
Yeah.
And like I attribute that to the fact that I had a traumatic birth and actually like died at birth. And,
Oh, wow.
And I what I call it like living in the bonus round is like like I'm now like I almost was not here. No, this all almost didn't happen. So it's like I have this like real adventurous kind of lust for life. It sounds cliche or cheesy,
You want to
but
experience
like,
things.
but like everything. Like I wanted to see the world.
Yeah.
And I always had kind of looked at it like, I wonder what that's like. Like, you know, because I mean, I always been a little bit like,
Yeah, like, what are you guys doing over there?
Yeah, exactly. And I began dating a guy who was into polyamory and into BDSM.
And BDSM is like, that can be, when someone knows what they're doing,
Yeah.
whoa. See you next month.
Now,
I mean, I will hang out with you for a while.
wish I knew what he was doing.
Oh, okay, that's very opposite of good. That's very bad.
I wish he knew what he was doing. Damn.
Tell me more.
Well, you know, it was, I think a lot of people, you know, in one way or another can relate to this, that like, they come into a new experience and with a partner that, like, has more experience than them, so they just kind of take it at face value, like, oh, this is what it's like, and
I can show you the world.
Exactly.
Like, that's why I say on stage, the easiest way to pick up a guy is just say you've never seen Rocky, any of the Rocky movies, and then they just turn into a ladder. Like, they just want to show, like...
That's exactly it. Yeah. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. Like, I really was so excited that, like, I could actually have the chance to, like, explore kink and submission and dominance and, like, because a lot of people just don't.
Yeah.
Like, they just have that in them, and then they meet their person, and the person's not interested, and that's that, you know?
Yeah, that's a wrap.
And it's inside thoughts forever, baby.
Yeah. And they just fester and collect energy. Ugh.
And then, exactly, and then it comes down weird ways.
Yeah, and then you just yell at the guy at the grocery store. You're like, sorry.
Yeah, so it just really won't be
Smacked
around.
in a consensual way. Yeah.
But, like, so he, like, I began dating someone who was very dominant and very I mean, it would pretty much, like, very, not hardcore, but like, consistently, like, that, you know.
Like a dom, like, in other areas, not just sex? Like, meaning, like...
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Was there a convo about this? Like, when you were getting to know him, was he like, hey, a little bit about me, I have this thing that I like that it bleeds over into areas of my life?
It was like it wasn't it should have been a sit down combo.
Yeah.
Like that. That kink is entirely all about communication, like very, very, very
Trust. You have to be
intentional.
trusting.
Yeah.
Yes, trusting. That was a big issue, unfortunately. Like
Okay.
I could never fully trust him for just like micro reasons that constantly showing me I'm not heard, I'm not safe, and but there were so micro that I couldn't put my finger on them. I could just, my body felt like,
Body knows.
ooh, but
knows.
and unfortunately he would get really angry that he would be like, why can't you trust me?
It's always good to yell at someone to get them to trust you more.
Yeah.
Truly.
You would think that would work.
It's like telling a screaming baby to stop.
Yeah.
What?
Yes.
The fuck?
Exactly. No, they were just.
So he didn't really know how to connect then.
No.
Because kink, that's why kink I think is so sacred. You have more, like the person that's sub, when I learned this, I was like, well, this is fascinating and sounds even more intriguing to me. The sub kind of has the control because the sub says if we keep going or if we don't, right? Like, and the dom is kind of like held to that.
Yeah.
Even though the dom is acting, whatever ways the aggression that you guys talk about. But it's like, that's why it's so interesting because it's like, when you're a kid and you play pretend and time disappears and it's so fun and you just lose yourself in your imagination. But then when you add that as an adult to like BDSM and kink with somebody you trust, that's like a kid playing with his imagination, but like times 1,000. Like it's just otherworldly blissful.
Yeah. Well, and the cool thing that I learned about kink is, at least in my point of view, it's about sex, sure, but really it's more about was pretend in the BDSM kink scene in Brooklyn, they call it play.
Play parties. I love
they don't call it sex parties. They call it play parties, and like they don't call it fooling around. They call it playing.
Right.
And
you're playing with power.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And you're right, by the way, that the submissive person, the bottom, the person under, they have all the power. They're the one calling the shots.
Yeah.
Entirely. There's so much responsibility in kink that both parties have to have.
Yeah.
That's
Can you walk us through like what a good like responsibilities that you found to be like, okay, next time I'm doing this, these need to be present.
Oh, 100%. Like, well, yeah. Actually, I'm continuously learning, but
sure.
It was all about communication. A lot of people have the light system, so red light means stop. Yellow means like, hey, I don't like this. I'm not done playing. I'm not done like being sexy, being kinky. But let's change what we're doing or slow down. And then green means hell yeah. And green is as important as say like a yellow because green like. The dom needs that kind of guidance. They need that feedback. Like hell yeah. A good dom, which I've been with a good dom.
You have.
Since,
okay, good.
They're constantly going off of the green light, and
they're so in tune with you. A good dom,
and it's up to you to give the green light. And like, I think once two people have been together long enough, they don't need to literally say green.
Exactly, yeah.
Green, or like whatever word. They can like feed off each other and they just like know the signs. But that's huge. It's huge to check in with yourself. It's also huge that if on a kink scale, let's say I'm at a 4 in terms of let's talk about what they call impact. Impact means spanking.
Impact play.
Yeah. Spanking, hitting, whatever. Let's say that, like, I'm interested in impact at, like, a 4. So, like, maybe a little bit, like teasing a little bit, like, but I happen to know that my partner loves to be at a 9.
Uh-huh.
You're doing a 4. Like, you
Correct.
both need to agree that it's a 4. And you're not going to 5. No, you're at a 4.
Yeah.
So kink is entirely about not pushing the boundaries.
Yeah.
Not feel, and there's a lot of nuance there. There's a responsibility as the 4, the lesser person, to not be controlled by their desire to please the 9 and like push themselves outside their own comfort.
Yeah. Yep.
Because if you do that, you're just doing both of you a disservice because it will.
That's a little traumatizing because you're like, I violated my own boundaries.
Yeah.
That's scary.
And one thing that I've learned in my experience is if it does not blow up today, it will blow up in a month, in 6 months, in a year. Like, it will derail.
Yeah.
If you're not totally 100% like doing what you want to do.
You're so right. And a conversation is so important. I personally have too many female friends throughout my whole life, up until now, like up until recently, and we hear about it in our inbox of women. It's a lot of times younger women, like younger women who are just starting out having sex, 18, 19, 20, 21, whatever. And the guys that they're hooking up with are just smacking them out of nowhere or choking them, and they don't know what the fuck they're doing because it's not like you're not choking a robber. A sexual choke is not.
Yes.
There's so much. Corinne read an article on the podcast a while back about how like deaths that can happen because your windpipe got dented from sexual choking that you didn't even fucking discuss. And so it's like, giving women that agency. And that's why I think kink, and especially, like, I totally get like the high-powered male CEO wanting to get spanked by a woman calling him pathetic. Like, I totally get how that's so great. And then like women too, like culturally we're just treated like shit, but then we have this beautiful power that we can feel, like this self-empowerment, and to have that played with is like oh my god, I love it so much. So you've had good doms and bad doms. Let's talk about like what's a good dom for you.
A good dom, I would say a good dom is. I was just talking to a friend about this. Someone who not just physically like dominates, chokes you, like whatever, like, controls what happens, but controls and takes responsibility for the eroticism of the moment, and that like the submissive can just their one job other than communicating, their one job is to just relax and just they're on the ride. And the dom is the ride.
Very well said.
And kind of like the dom is literally the director of the scene, and so one thing that I'm realizing, it's hard to say all this because it really does depend on like the kind of person, but for me, this is what I'm finding. I'm finding that when I can be out of my head, it's so easy to get in your head. And I get really in my head about dirty talk. Like, instead, I'm like, I should be dirty talking right now. Or if I am I saying the right thing? And I'll say something and not get a big reaction. And then be like, well,
shit, how do I top that?
I actually thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, damn. But then there's like the thrill of like saying something and having to get a reaction. Like, okay. But I get really in my head and it takes me out of the moment because it's easy to slip into performative kind of like, I want to turn you on. I want this. And I've been kind of eagerly looking for a situation where like I can just relax. I can just like kind of get away from that, get outside my head. And I think a good does that. They really, it takes, I think, a lot knowing the person. Mm-hmm. But to just like, okay, like your job is just to relax and feel good and like,
and let me know where you're at throughout the process.
Exactly. So that's, to me, like the key of a good dom is entirely take responsibility for like what happens in the scene and like how it feels.
Now, when you go to like these play parties and there's, I think of going to a play party in and of itself could be considered a kink, right? Because kink is such a scale. It's a very vast scale of like, you can be like, vanilla kinky is an oxymoron, but like you can for sure. Like you could think like these little things are just, really, they move you sexually. But when you go to these parties, like, what does it look like? Is ever like, just for our listeners who've never been, like, maybe they're imagining everyone just smacking the shit out of each other. Like, it's not like that. I've been to a couple very erotic environments, and like the cool thing is you don't have to fuck at all.
Nope. Yeah.
That's awesome because then you can go, all right, no pressure, zero pressure. And just like somebody else in the next room, like fucking, and you can clearly tell if it's performative or not.
Oh, yeah.
A woman, especially a woman, can tell. But when it's not performative and it's genuine, you're like, oh my God, just being in that sexual energy is like,
oh yeah. Well, and the thing is that I actually go to these things and I don't.
Yeah.
I hang out. Well, my ongoing joke with my friends is I go for the hot tub. And it's kind of
where else do you get a hot tub in New York?
It's kind of true. Yeah. And like I've gone to parties that were normal and parties that were sapphic and really just going to meet people and there is a sexual charge in the air. Mm-hmm. But so I go to parties at this one particular spot that's got a multitude of rooms, which I think is like the key.
Yes,
because
I agree.
I've gone to ones that were kind of just in one giant loft.
Yeah, and you feel like you're at like a 70s porn shoot.
And
like,
and it was like dividers in between like the dance floor and the mattresses.
Yeah.
And oh God, not my vibe. But the place that like me and a lot of my friends go to, it very much is, there's a backyard, there's a BYOB bar, there's a hot tub, there's a fireplace, and that is strictly all about like making connections, talking. The most you can do is make out. Like
in these common areas.
Yeah.
Oh, so you can't fuck in the hot tub. That's very smart.
Yes. No.
Hygienic.
No.
Very smart.
Not.
I would definitely now go in that hot tub knowing you can't fuck in it.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Although, it just but you can be naked in it.
Okay.
Also, which
that's fun.
I've got some personal opinions on that, but
what are
care
they?
To share?
Yeah.
Well, maybe it doesn't even make a difference because it's like a piece of fabric, but like, I don't know.
I feel like a guy could very easily jerk off in the hot tub underneath the water, and I wouldn't know because of the bubbles, and it may be harder for a girl. Although It's a hot tub with jets, so maybe not.
Yeah, a little bit of the honors. A little bit. Well, very much, these parties, you have to be approved.
Right.
Yeah.
So there is that level. Yeah.
And they usually give you a spiel on consent.
Yeah.
That's a very important imperative.
Yeah, exactly. You sign things.
And you should, if for the listeners, if you're going to go to these places, like do research, look at the reviews, but also make sure like you feel like comfortable along the way or safe. You're going to feel like nervous because it's something new, but like just make sure, keep in mind any red flags that pop up in your head. Have you ever had a bad experience at a sex club?
No.
Or a play party?
No, I haven't. I've only, I've only been, I think, like 3 or 4 times.
Okay.
And I actually, like, full transparency, I've hit a wall in the last month that, like, I kind of don't want to go to them anymore.
Yeah, so you're not craving it right now.
I'm not, like, I don't, like, I've gone to them and, accidentally got involved with people who turned out to be the exes of other people, and that I felt like a monster. Like,
but you didn't. I mean,
I didn't mean it, but just like being put in that situation, like, oh my God, because I'm the kind of person. I would rather get my feelings hurt 100 times before I would ever want to hurt someone else's feelings.
Yeah.
And so it was just like, oh my God, that experience just really, I'd already kind of been like, I'm not getting a whole lot from casual.
Yeah.
Escapades at all, but
can we talk about the poly thing? Is that something we can talk about?
Oh yeah,
this is a situation that has come up a lot in our email inbox. And so, how did it come up for you in this past iteration of your relationship?
Yeah, so I recently ended a romantic relationship because he was polyamorous and I was not. And I mean, this is like fresh. This just like happened the other day.
Yeah.
And so the word that polyamorous people use sometimes is de-escalation. Which
feels manipulative. I don't know why. But yeah, continue.
What word? Wait, they use de-escalation to describe
context?
what?
So kind of the way of thinking is that kind of one core way of thinking about polyamory is that you have a series of relationships in your life, and it's on a scale. It's on a spectrum. And so I think the word de-escalation is all about trying to avoid the black and white.
Okay.
And it's kind of like someone can say, like, be romantically like dating and planning a future, and then realize that's not working. Let's de-escalate into friends have sex sometimes.
I feel like that's a word poly guys use a lot.
Yeah, that seems like
Oh, what a great deal for me. I mean, whatever. If that's what you want, if you just want to be fuck buddies, then it is a great deal.
Yeah, I mean, like, depending on the day, I have a variety of feelings about this word.
Yeah.
Like, there was a while that I had the same reaction, like, ooh, that seems a little bit just...
Something's
I
off.
know,
Yeah.
something a little bit off about that. Like, I don't know, a little bit, like, my manipulation radar was like, boop. But not with the person at all, but just with the word and the...
Yeah, their use of it, mate. You're like, something...
But, like, so the breakup that I just had was actually, like, probably, like, them... I couldn't imagine two people having a more amicable separation than we did. It was really just this kind of like...
So you de-escalated into not talking anymore.
Well, kind of, I mean, as cheesy as it sounds, it was like, I said to him that, like, this actually feels like we're escalating. Because, I mean, what it was just us hitting a breaking point of like, oh, we can't do this. Because, I mean, I'm rooting for him and he's rooting for me. And I'm rooting for him to fill his cup and really find the way that he thrives. And but I could not. It was hurting me so badly.
It was impeding on the way you thrive.
Yeah,
like you feel safe in the relationship.
And it began to really rub up against my values and also what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
In a way that I could no longer really just work through it or talk through it or push it down. And I mean, well, yeah, to be totally real with you guys, I hit an emotional wall. I burst into tears one night. And I'm like, it was kind of a thing that I was trying to be there, but more and more consistently, it was piling up and you know, it was hurting more and more and more and kind of punching the same area that was already bruised. And but he's such a great guy. Like he's like, I don't know, just I was trying so hard because I just wanted him in my life.
Yeah. Like
some capacity. I just didn't want to lose this person that I met. And But I couldn't do it, and I burst into tears, and it was not just like weepy. It was like a little, you know, when like a little kid cries.
Yeah.
It's like,
it's a buildup of pressure.
It was really like my inner kid just like exploding.
Yeah.
And but you know, the next day it really kind of was that, like, okay, how can we be in each other's lives in a way that does not hurt?
Yeah. Did you find that? Yeah. I mean, it's so fresh, so that's trial.
I mean,
error.
we're like taking a mini break. We're
From
not
talking and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, all my friend group, we have our locations shared.
Okay. Oh, wow.
And it's a thing because we hang out at the same cafes and coffee bars and stuff like that. And so it's great because you can see, like, oh, so-and-so is there.
I'll go to that coffee shop.
I've definitely told this to other people that thought it was so weird. But
I get it. Now I know people that share location, like friends that share locations with each other. And at first I did think, I was like, what the fuck? But then they told me why. I'm like, oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, I kind of
it wasn't controlling, or it didn't seem that way.
No, yeah, it's never. I've never had any like controlling or like toxic things come about from it. Like, but I do look at like social media. I'm like, oh, I wonder what's happening over there. Oh, where are they? It has been helpful because like he and I we're just like taking space, and we live very close to each other. And so yesterday or the other day or something, I was walking to a bagel shop, and thank goodness I like had the thought to like
check
because he was walking there at the same time.
Oh yeah,
So I like redirect
Donuts.
Exactly. I was like redirecting to like another cafe. But we're taking that like a break and just like coming back.
Yeah.
You know,
seeing how the energy is.
I really hope it's not bullshit. I
Yeah.
really hope we can actually, you know,
be in each other's lives.
Yeah, I love
that's
them.
nice. So you can be friends with an ex.
Yeah,
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's I think a mark of like maturity and, you know, I don't know, just
yeah.
respect.
Well, like I
Not
say,
always. Sometimes
you
they
know,
suck.
yeah, and I do have another ex that is blocked on my phone.
What he do?
You have to block some of them.
But like, so it feels really amazing to like have this other extreme of like, oh my gosh, like we're literally separating because we care about that person so much.
Yeah, that's
That
nice.
like, you know, but
yeah.
yeah.
Like, with the needs can't be met. It's nice to be like, let's care for each other in that way.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, being poly, like that's like a very seems to be a core part of people and how they want to navigate relationships. And I've heard a lot of stories where one person's poly and one person's more monogamous, and it always seems like the poly person like cannot be tamed into the monogamy, and a lot of times the monogamous person will attempt this polyamorous lifestyle. But I can't think of an example where it's worked out because they're just two foundationally different approaches.
Yeah.
Dan Savage calls
And
it.
I've actually met a lot of monogamous people who, have the same tune that like, oh, they try it. And I think it's such a welcoming idea that like, oh, let me try polyamory.
Right.
I'm monogamous and I love monogamy, but let me try it. And the thing that I'm, at least right now in my life, realizing is, oh, that's the key indication that it's not gonna work. Because I have lots of polyamorous friends who talk about having like a light bulb moment in their youth of like when they find polyamory, they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know this was a thing you could do.
Clicks.
It clicks and it's like, oh my gosh, thank God. Like, yes, it works. And then there are people kind of like me who like,
what's that?
Yeah, I'm monogamous, but I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And I you know, kind of meet fantastic people that are into polyamory, and I'm like, oh, well, let me try it. Let me I'm a secure person. No, I'm not.
You can be secure and poly's not for you though too.
Exactly.
Like you there's nothing wrong with like, I want to be the only one you adore.
Yeah.
That's it. Like that's fair too.
And you know, sometimes I worry that it's a misconception that polyamorous people don't like monogamous people or like kind of
like poo monogamy. Yeah.
No, I mean I know that like the other night when I hit a wall, I was around a lot of my friends who are polyamorous, and I mean they've been reminding me over and over that like, no, you can be monogamous. It really like it's not better.
It seems like poly
worse.
people have a big gas tank, have a bigger capacity, and they just have to charge discharge their energy and in the form of like loving multiple people at the same time. If they're a relationship poly or sexual poly, there's so many different kinds. But like I did talk to one person once, I think it was after a show, who was a listener of the show and was genuinely poly, and he was like, it's a lot, but it's the only way that I like it's the best way for me to function in love and romance because it feels right. But it's a lot. It's not like easy. It's a lot of work.
It's
just like kink is. Like it's
work.
communication. And it's a relationship is a lot of work.
That's one of the things that I love the absolute most about polyamorous people is they set the bar so high for communication. Like it's crazy. That's cool. Now that I venture back into monogamy, I mean, after this, I'm just like, okay, I've tried polyamory, and I now know absolutely cannot do it.
Yeah.
And so I kind of go back to monogamy. The bar is really high for communication. Like, I now have to have an extraordinarily communicative monogamous partner because it just...
Once you have that experience, you're like, oh, I'm putting this in my must-have checklist.
100%. And then it's all about intention and a lot of it, I think, just intention, but also common sense. It's like, well, if they did that, would I want to know? Yeah. So.
Yeah, totally.
But polyamory, from how I understand it, it's all about abundance. So it's all about people who can feel within themselves that they have the capacity to love more than one person.
Yeah.
But you're right, that's a beautiful thought and a beautiful feeling to have. And yet there's so much logistics that go into it. There's, I mean, that was the one thing that I noticed was really not working for me in polyamory. And again, nothing to do with
the person.
The person was just the way polyamory is designed. Of like, you're sharing your time. And I realized that I want a person that will surprise me at the airport,
Yeah.
And
totally.
when you're in a relationship where you're sharing that person, you're sharing the time and energy of that person with another person or two other people.
Right.
That's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's not
and I don't think I could do. I can totally see myself trying poly. Like if I trusted the person, I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Like, let me see how this feels. Probably wouldn't like it, but who knows? But yeah, that's like the romantic stuff. I'm like, I fucking live for that shit.
And the other thing is, like, I've talked to enough polyamorous people, and polyamory is also about fighting against the idea of being somebody's, like, being owned by someone, property or like possessiveness. And I've been noticing more and more when I talk to people about that. In my head, I'm like, well, I kind of want to be.
I do too.
Somebody's
That's why I don't think it would work for me.
Person, like, I love kind of being just someone's little.
Yeah, I'm your person, your partner. Yeah.
And like, totally. I never want to like make someone like jealous, like painful. But I do get little bursts of happiness that like when a partner notices another guy kind of like flirting or kind of interested in me, and then they tell me like, oh, that kind of made me a little bit protective, a little
like
bit
wrap
jealous.
their arm around you or something.
Yeah. And like, I love that. It's like,
you like me.
Yeah, get it. Yeah, get what's yours.
Well, this has been a fantastic conversation, Tina. Thank you so much for being here. You are such a great stand-up comedian. What would you like to promote, and where can people find you on stage? Like, where can we get your dates?
See you live.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Where can we get more of you?
I'm on tour all this summer. I've got a bunch of dates, and then picking it back up, I think, in the fall. I'm all over. I'm in Dallas. Dallas, upstate New York, like Hudson Valley. I'm in Nashville in 2 weeks.
Nice. Where do we go for tickets to see your tour schedule?
If you go to my Instagram or any social media, you can find the link tree in my bio. Perfect. And the tickets are Right there, baby. Right
And
there.
we'll link Tina's
Yes.
Instagram handle to the description of the episode so that you can get more of her. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being on the show.
I love you guys.
We love
Thank
you
you. This has been Guys We Fucked, the anti-slut shaming podcast. We will talk to you next Friday.